Hey plant lovers, today we are going to be discovering some amazing Hoya plants. First up we have the Hoya Wilbur Graves, and the reason I wanted to look at Hoyas today is because I don't actually have any myself, but I'm feeling really tempted to start collecting Hoyas, so I thought I'd kind of look at some of my favourites today, and the Hoya Wilbur Graves, I have to say, really stands out to me. It's got this beautiful kind of silvery variegation on it. And I believe most Hoyas do flower, so I think this one probably gets flowers too. I'd love to know what your experience of this plant is. Is it easy to care for? Another Hoya that I am seriously considering buying is the Hoya Carnosa Tricolour, and I just absolutely love this one. I really love the colours in the leaves, and yeah, it seems pretty easy to get hold of too, so I think this might be one that I actually start with. I'd be really interested to know if anyone has experience of this one, but yeah, just the beautiful variegation on this one really attracts me to it. And I'm not really a kind of a flower person, if you know what I mean, but I know that Hoyas are known for their flowers, so maybe I will get into that as a result. But just for the time being, I'm kind of just looking at the ones that I like for their foliage first and foremost. And this one is really gorgeous. Next is the Hoya Bella, and I actually remember that this was on my wish list at the beginning of this year. And there's a lot of stuff on that wish list I think I just don't want anymore, but this is one plant that I actually really do still want. I think this is really pretty. It's just the delicate nature of it, the way it cascades. I know a lot of people grow Hoyas up trellises and things, but for me personally, I prefer when they kind of just grow naturally. And this one just has a really beautiful flow to it. It looks like it makes a really awesome hanging plant, so this one is definitely on my list. The next one I really love is the Hoya Waiatii, the variegated one. This one has some really pretty colours in it, and I actually do remember seeing this at a garden centre I went to earlier in the year, and I've always wished since I saw it that I've bought it, and I didn't. I'm sure it will come up again because I think this is quite a common Hoya, but yeah, there's just something about this one that I really like. I kind of like to get my hands on one that's not too small too. Do Hoyas grow slowly? I don't know. I've heard a lot of people saying they grow slowly, and I'm thinking because I get a bit frustrated by slow growing plants, if they do, maybe I'd like to get a slightly bigger one so I don't have to wait too long. But yeah, Hoya Waiatii, variegated. I really love this one. It looks like it has some kind of tinges of pink in it as well, which is really nice. I'm definitely a fan of pink plants, although I do find that they tend to kind of attract pests, so hopefully this isn't the same. But yeah, I really love this one. I would definitely get this one. Next is the Hoya Pupacalyx Splash, and I think this is kind of a little bit similar to the Wilbur Graves, maybe but less silvery. But I just really like how kind of shiny and variegated the leaves look on this one. Yeah, this one definitely speaks to me as one that I would like to get. Can you grow this kind of Hoya just as a hanging plant? Because I see a lot of people kind of wrapping them around trellises and things, and I don't really like the kind of the hoop look that some people put these plants on, so I don't know, do they grow well as trailing plants? I would love to know if you have experience, but yeah, this one looks really cool. I'd definitely like to get my hands on this one, although I think if I had to pick between this one and the Wilbur Graves, I'd probably pick the Wilbur Graves, although I could be wrong here, but I think the Wilbur Graves might be a little harder to get hold of. Next is the Hoya Linearis, and I have to be honest, I didn't think I liked this one, but it's growing on me. I've seen it on a few people's YouTube channels, and I've seen it a bit on social media lately. I'm kind of thinking I'd like to give it a go, maybe. It's not my usual type of plant. I don't tend to go for sort of plants with the sort of, I don't know, bean-shaped leaves, but I'm thinking maybe I would try this one just to see if I like it. No harm in trying, is there? But it does look pretty cool, kind of hanging from the pot. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Philodendron tortum. I always thought I hated that one too because it looks kind of like spindly, but even that one's growing on me, so maybe I would give this one a go. I'm not sure. Is it easy to look after? I think if it was easy to look after, then that would definitely be a plus. The next one is the Hoya Batonier, I think that's how you say it. And this one isn't particularly amazing, it just has pretty ordinary looking leaves, but I don't know, there's just something about it. The leaves look kind of succulent and they seem to have a sort of a darker edge. There's something about this one I quite like, and it seems to have some really pretty red flowers too, which kind of stand out quite well against the foliage. So yeah, I do quite like the look of this one, and I would definitely grow it as a trading plant. It looks really cool. The leaves look fairly small. But yeah, I do like how the leaves are kind of got that darker margin. I think that looks really nice. It kind of gives it an ombre look. So I definitely like to give this one a go as well. The next one is the Hoya Croniana Eskimo, and this one is another sort of silvery looking plant, and I really do have a thing for silvery looking plants. This one kind of seems to have more of a little point at the end of its leaves, and yeah, I just really like that silvery colour. And again, I definitely have this as a hanging plant. I think if I was to get all of these Hoyas, I'd need a lot of hanging plant space. But what I really like about this one is there's that silvery colour, but it's also got that little bit of a point to the leaves, and I don't know, I just think that looks really pretty. It seems a little bit different to some of the others I've seen, so yeah, I definitely like to try that one out as well. Next is the Hoya longifolia China beans, and again, this is a sort of more of a bean-like plant, if I can use that term. It kind of reminds me a bit of the happy bean plant. I did have that once, but yeah, it passed away, but that was a different type of plant. I don't know, maybe this one's a little easier to care for. Again, I'm not too sure about the shapes of the leaves on this one. I don't usually go for the kind of thin, long leaves, but maybe I'd give it a go. I think out of all the Hoyas that I've got on this list, this one might be probably lowest on my list, but it is kind of cool and interesting. Next is one I definitely would like to get my hands on. It is the Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen, and because this one has variegation but it also has some pink in it, I just cannot resist the pink plants, and this one is no different. I definitely like to give this one a go. It looks really shiny and just lovely with all that pink, and I'm assuming that the pink will come out more the more light you give it. I could be wrong, but that's usually the way with Hoyas. I hear that they can kind of change colour when they get sun stressed. If anyone has this one, I'd love to know what your experience is. But yeah, this one looks stunning. I love the pink colour against the green of the plant. Next one is the Hoya Rangsan, and again, this is sort of got a, it's not silvery, I'm not sure if it's silver, it's more of a light green actually, but it's that sort of speckled variegation. It just looks stunning. In some of these pictures, the variegation looks so pronounced on it, and yeah, it just looks gorgeous, and presumably that variegation gets lighter if you give it more light. So yeah, this one looks like it's got fairly large leaves too, and they look really glossy and yeah, just a succulent. That's something I'd say about Hoyas. They've got sort of nice glossy succulent leaves. Are they semi-succulents? I think they probably are. I've got so much to learn about Hoyas. As I say, I've never had one before and I've never really delved into them. So this is kind of my first little exploration into what I possibly might be getting. Next is the Hoya Australis, and I really like this one because it has a sort of a bit of a tinge of red and orange to it, as well as the yellows and the greens, and I just think it's really pretty. It looks kind of a bit like the colouring you might get on the Philodendron Prince of Orange, but with obviously different shaped leaves, and presumably that red comes out more the more sun you give it. But yeah, this one's really pretty. I'd definitely like to try that one. And then following on from that, we have Hoya Flamingo Dreams, and again, of course, I'm loving this one because it has pink in it. It seems to have like pink edges, which looks really cool against the green. And yeah, I couldn't really find a huge amount of pictures of this one. I don't know whether it's a fairly rare one or whatever, but it definitely is one that I would love to try. I love pink plants, even though they seem to be a bit of a pain because they seem to attract pests really easily. The next one I thought was really pretty is the Hoya Carnosa Madara, and this one has loads of like kind of white creamy variegation in it. It almost reminds me of a Hoya version of the Marble Queen, and yeah, I really like this one. It's definitely my kind of plant. If I could find this one, I would definitely like to get my hands on it for sure. It's got the exact type of variegation that I really enjoy in a plant. Another one that I thought was really beautiful is the Hoya Latifolia Pot of Gold. Just look at those beautiful splashes. It's a little bit reminiscent of the Philodendron Brazil in its variegation. And I like how the leaves on this one are kind of elongated as well compared to some of the others. I think that's really pretty, but yeah, I love that kind of splash of gold, I guess, in the middle there. It looks really nice. Yeah, I'd definitely like to try this one. Yeah, this one would be one of the top on my list. I don't know how easy it is to get hold of. I'll have to have a little look about. And then the next one, let's see if I can pronounce this. It's the Hoya Calistophylla. This one kind of looks like a turtle, I guess. But yeah, it's really cool. I like it. It kind of reminds me of the crocodile fern. I used to have a crocodile fern, but unfortunately it passed away. But yeah, this one's really cool. I like the look of this one. I don't know how fast it grows, but you do see a lot of kind of smaller pots of it with just a few leaves, but I think the markings on it are really cool. Next is the Hoya Matilde Splash, and again, this is another kind of silvery plant, only this one has more sort of smaller leaves, I think. But it just looks so shiny and pretty. I'm a sucker for shiny glossy leaves, and this one looks really cool. Definitely like to try this one. It's got more of a rounded leaf, which is cool. I like how some of these Hoyas have got different shaped leaves and you can sort of see a difference between them, because I like to get a few that are a little bit different, you know. The next one is the Hoya Carnosa Compacta, and I have to be honest with you, I'm not sure what I think about this one. I kind of like it, and with its flowers it looks kind of nice, but there's a part of me that thinks, what if this got pests? It must be a nightmare to try and control them because it has so many nooks and crannies in there. I'm not sure if I like it. I think I'm going to just sit with it for a while and see how I feel. It's kind of a strange one. At the moment I'm thinking probably not, but you never know. I'm not going to rule it out. Next is the Hoya gracilis, and yeah, I kind of like this one. It's simple, it's got more kind of elongated leaves, a little bit of variegation in there, more of a sort of a subtle splash, but it looks so lovely as a hanging plant, and yeah, I definitely like to grow it as a hanging plant. It's kind of got more of a kind of a subtle splash to it than some of the other variegated ones, but that combined with the kind of elongated leaf shape on this one, I think looks really pretty. Next is the Hoya pubera, and I like how this one, it looks so delicate. When you see it growing kind of like crazy out of the pot, it seems like it might be a fast grower. I don't know, but it looks like it's kind of one of those insane plants that goes absolutely nuts. But I really like how it's cascading from the pot, and it just seems like a really full hanging plant. I'd definitely like to try this one. It's simple, but yeah, sometimes the simple plants are the nicest ones, I find, for me personally. If you enjoyed that video, I reckon you are really going to enjoy this video too, where you can discover some amazing hanging plants.